day 3 of Ready for Riches. I am so excited you're here. Hi. It looks like we have a small room today. I don't know where everybody is, but we're just going to jump in and get this party started. So we have covered a lot. Last week we went over the behaviors of like getting clear on where you were this last year, numbers, behaviors, beliefs, all of that. We started looking at your blueprint for 2025. And before we jump in today, which is going to be a lot about embodiment and really looking at who we are being and what habits, beliefs, and maybe releasing needs to happen in order for us to make space for what we want to receive in 2025. It's going to be an in-depth process of looking in and a lot of reflection and me asking questions to you all today. So I want it to be an interactive experience. But before we jump in, I want to hear like, what aha moments have you had in doing this work over the last week? Let's anchor those in before we move forward and do more reflection, because we've already covered a lot of ground. So I'm curious, what have been some of your aha moments over the past week doing Ready for Riches? And you can go ahead and just take your mic off and come up since we don't have a lot of people here today.
Just that like so much has happened this year and stuff that I'd forgotten about, and I think going through the months has really helped, because you can remember a few big things like my book and I did the firewalk training, but there was loads of other stuff, and just that what I want to achieve next year is possible, and ChatGPT said it was.
Thanks, Chat. Thank you, ChatGPT. I appreciate you. Mine hypes me up now. It really is like my biggest cheerleader. It's like, this is a great idea, Catherine. I'm like, thanks, Chat. Thank you so much. Thanks for being on my team, man.
Yeah.
So lots of things happened in 2024. Is there one thing that you were like, I want more of this in 2025?
I think it's more surrender, because that little space from going to Jack Canfield and just being in all that gorgeous energy, but still not really being in my business. But the days before I'd called in 3 people just from like manifesting it in, because I wanted to work with you, didn't I? And I was like, if I can call these people in, I'm in. And that created so much safety. And I was like, oh, I like this. And then on the way back that week, 70 people were in the Spiritually Rich group, which is like the biggest thing. So it showed me I could hold more, that there was more out there than what I thought. And I got another one-to-one on the plane on the way home, and it was like, oh my God, it gets to be so easy.
Wow. It gets to be easy. That's the best part of this, is it gets to be easy. So I love that. So you want more of this ease, simplicity in 2025.
Yeah, and play. I want loads of fun.
Play.
And boundaries. Fucking big boundaries.
Yep, and the boundaries are going to help create that. So that's why we need to keep that in mind. We'll talk more. We're going to go deeper into it today and see where there might be some resistance or anything around that. Janet, what was one of your big breakthroughs over the last week of doing this work?
Well, I had a client sign on. Yeah. But I really got triggered. I think I put that into the Facebook group and on Telegram. I got triggered from this old, it's not going to be there. I have to find it, to chase after it. Because for so many years, as a single mom, I was doing multiple jobs and, going from this bank to this bank to this bank, and keeping that whole thing like juggling and going. And it was stressful. So I know I still have that kind of embodied stress from that, which I thought that I had cleared until this happened in the Stripe, because it's the first time I've been paid by Stripe. They're holding the payment for 7 days. So I was in panic. It was like, oh my God. And there's a fee. And I was texting her and saying, you need to cover the fee, and I need that right away. And, going into that grasping place. So I was able to catch it, I think, in enough time, because she's a new client too, so we don't know each other. And, I could see how that was kind of could have pushed her away, and she could have just canceled the whole thing. And I was really working with that. And there
Yeah.
were also times where a lot of my consulting was with the tribes, and they don't pay you. They say they're going to pay, and they're like 3-hour drive. And if they mail the check, you never get it. So I would always be in that panic, and I would have to leave the house, call like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm on my way to get the check. Do not mail it.
Yeah.
Put my son in the car, and we drive up there, and it was like, oops, we forgot, and we put it in the mail.
Sounds like a lot of fighting to get
Oh
paid for your
man.
services. So
So
that
I
kind of got,
see how
yeah, that came up for you when Stripe did this. And so now seeing that, this is a really important lesson, Janet, because like the more money we make, these things get activated. And even though we've done the work hypothetically, we can't actually, I don't know where I was having this conversation, but we can't actually heal it till we're in it, right? Like we can't heal it till we're in it in relationship with another human being or the money or the experience and going through the actual conflict or activation to be able to process it. But it sounds like you caught yourself, you moved through it, and now you see if I want to bring in more clients and more of these pay in fulls and more of the high paying one-to-one clients, then I'm going to need to continue to work through some of these triggers that show up when it comes to getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely true that through a lot of my adult life as a single mom, I've chased after money. So to just sit back and, I think that I have sat back long enough, just kind of allowing it to come to me and receive. So now, I want to keep that flow going where I'm ready to receive and not have to go and fight for it, chase after it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be something that we look at today when we're talking about releasing resistance. I think all of you are going to find something today in that there might be resistance to receiving the amount of money that we have or noticing where these triggers are. So we'll be working with that a little bit today too.
Thank you.
Awesome. And congratulations on your client.
Well, we'll see, right? See, that
Don't do
comes.
that. Don't do that. It's
I
already
know.
happened. It's
I
already
know.
happened.
I have to keep catching every nugget.
You're good. You're
And
good. You have a client.
I even called Chase today to see.
It's gonna come, Janet. It
Okay,
happened with
maybe I
me. It
should
happened
change
with
bank name.
Kajabi. The money will come. I promise. They're gonna pay you. I promise. We've all been through it with some payment process or another.
I called the bank today to see is there any way I can release it early.
No,
I'm in that place.
it's
But,
okay. It's gonna come. This is you
I
sitting
have
with
to
the
work to
discomfort.
make it happen.
Yeah, this is you learning to sit with the discomfort of it because there's going to be
Yeah.
lots of times where Stripe, it takes time to pay, or maybe you use PayPal and they hold your funds. Like it happens. It happens with banks
Yeah.
a lot, especially these payment processors. So don't worry, the money's coming. It's already there. It's sitting there. It's just waiting to be released into your account. So now you just get to sit in eager anticipation to receive your payout. Yay, thank you so much. I'm so excited to have a client and have this money coming in right in time for the holidays in the new year.
Yes. I have to create that again, though. If I
You
did
can.
that once, now I have to keep that flowing, just like Nikki was saying, make it easy, make it simple, make
Yeah.
it fun, allow that.
Yep.
Mm,
One thing I know for sure is that if you did it once, you could do it again. And that's something that
Right,
I've been saying to myself from the beginning of time. If you did it once, you can do it again. Since the beginning of my business, I should say. Once
right.
you've done it once, you can do it again.
But I also, it's like all these old memories creeping in. And I remember literally having to call from one department to the next and say, who has the check? Okay, will you sign it and send it to this person? And then call that person. Please sign it off on it and send it to this person. And actually follow that whole process so that I could get paid. And that was regular. It wasn't just once in a while.
And it sounds like it was a lot, but just remember that you're not there anymore and you're not in those systems anymore. You're in a different system now, a system that you created. You're welcome. All right, Rosar, what's been one of your big takeaways from the past week of work?
Oh man. Well, first I just want to say I did the Chat GPT thing. Holy crap. I was like, oh my God, what is all this? It was so cool. It was awesome. So thank you for
Good.
that.
I'm happy that you did it too. I'm happy that you're going through the replays, doing the work, because this is going to have you set up for extreme success in 2025,
Yeah.
especially with you because your shit's taking off right now.
It was really cool to see. One of the like big things that came up for me this past week was I really want to be known. I think it was you, Kitty, you said like, what do you want to be known for? And like, are you showing that right now? And like one of the things I want to be known for is being a Latina in the coaching industry.
Yeah.
I feel like we see so many white coaches who are all like wearing the blazer and doing the thing. And I want to be like, even if you came from here, you can also be here, you know? And I'm not showing that right now. And I'm like, holy shit, let's fucking go. Let's amp this up. Like, I really want that, you know, to be part of my brand. And so I'm like, I'm really excited for that to come through and show up and to see where it takes me, really.
I love that so much. I've been in a lot of conversations in like memberships and peer like masterminds that I've been in, and there isn't a lot of diversity in the coaching industry. There isn't. And I have a lot of women of color, not I haven't not a lot I haven't had a lot of conversations with Latina women, but a lot of women of color like talk about what their experiences are like. And it's obviously when we have a very non-diverse community in the coaching space, what we need is representation, and what those women need are spaces where they can feel seen and witnessed and heard. And you know, as a white woman, like I can't do that the same way that someone else. I can be aware of it, but I can't. It would be naive and unfair and ignorant of me to think that I could create a space where I could acknowledge the true experience of someone who has a different experience than me. It's just not possible. And so, like, being aware of that and how I run my business and wanting to make sure that there's inclusivity is really great. But coming from somebody who wants to speak directly to the group where they want to create representation, who has the same life experience and culture and all of that stuff, you're just going to open up so many doors for women to feel seen and witnessed and understood far beyond what a business can do for them, but just in so many different ways. And I'm so excited for you to really step into this and step into the role of a leader in the space, because we need that. I don't see a lot of women doing that. I've maybe seen like one Latina woman who really claimed that as her brand. You know what I mean? And like that's at 4 years of doing this.
Yeah. And I kind of started playing with it on Threads. I was like, you know, just kind of adding a little bit of Spanish into like the things I say, and also calling out like some of the things I've been seeing. And I honestly had like 3 conversations with women who are like, holy crap, I'm Latina and I never show like the side of me. I try to be like more professional and more put together and like make sure my accent doesn't come out. And I'm like, girl, yes, like, you know. So it's been really cool to kind of play with it, and I just want to go all in, really.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see you do it. I can't wait to see you do it. And playing around with Threads, and just maybe even just starting to play with like what, like maybe I just want to start doing it on my IG account too. Like maybe Threads just feels a little bit more safer
Yeah.
for you. So let's play on the edge of that safety and maybe share a thread to the IG feed, like one of the ones that pops off over there, and just start getting more people seeing this, you know. And Nikki asked the question, is Threads worth being on? Threads is worth being on if you can post consistently on Threads. I know, Nikki. I did it for like a week, and then I was like, "Fuck, man, this is just another thing for me to think about."
Yeah.
But some people love it. Like some people communicate that way. Like, and they love it. I was never a Twitter girl. I was never any of that. Like, so, but if you're somebody who just like has these little thoughts, you're like ping and just want to throw them out there and you communicate like that. See, now that was attractive to you. So you might want to test it out and see, you know, you might want to test it out and see if just like little quips and ideas and thought provoking comments and all of that. So it's too noisy for me too. I'm like, what? There's so many people, and like, I don't know, like, I like the organization. I'm just maybe I'm just set in my ways, and that's not that great. But just noticing, I have the awareness that it feels kind of chaotic over there. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know. I don't know about all this. Maybe I'll just make like a YouTube video or something, because maybe I'll just use YouTube as my second platform, because that feels way more organized and I like long form content. So know who you are, like know who you are, know what works best for you. You don't need to be everywhere. Master one platform before you move to the next. But if you're already on IG, like Threads is a great place to go hang out if you like that kind of style of content. Is your hand up, Janet? You raise your hand. Come on up. Thank you,
I
Rosara.
just want to comment to Rosara that, being here in Arizona, there are a lot of beautiful, strong, very dynamic Latina women newscasters. And yeah, so that to me, always has stood out. So I think that would be a way to model what you're doing in coaching. Yeah. So I always marvel at just how amazing they are. And yeah, what did I miss with the Chat GPT was my question.
Oh, it's in you'll see it. It's in day 2. We planned out, we've used it to help us make a strategy plan for broken down by quarter. Just go ahead over to the training right after this one, if you have time, or tomorrow or something in between our systems, and try to do that, because it'll be really great to have it ready for the systems training that Alyssa's going to do on Wednesday.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, you're so welcome. All right, Caroline, since we have a small group, I want to get to everybody before I jump into, like, I haven't even started like the training or anything today, but I want to hear what I want to anchor in, like takeaways from the last week, or biggest like aha moments.
And it's hard for me, right? Because I work with you in so many different ways to go, shit, what was it specific to this that was the aha moment, right? But I would say the I'm not dreading going consistently on social media, which for 2 years, be honest, I effing hated it.
Oh, this is great news.
Where I would dread getting up and, oh, crap, what am I going to post? I think like, even with the fairy dust sprinkles that I get to put in it, having a bit more fun, like, it's all been good. I've actually gotten some great feedback in the last 3 days around my content. Yeah, like, hey, I'm loving your content. And these are people that either, like, my podcast producer friend, just friends in general, they're like, I can see you're coming out in your confidence now in what you're posting, and they're so excited for me. And I would say my next step is just going to be, okay, so now continue that. And in January, how do you start to sprinkle live and reels and stuff like that into it? So,
yeah, I love that. So these, if we were to like, ooh, these are symptoms of you getting a client, like this is the symptoms that happen right before you catch a client. You know what I mean? Like this is the oncoming symptoms of right before I get a client. People start noticing your content. They start saying there's something different here. And then all of a sudden somebody pops in your inbox. Hey, Caroline, I saw your post. Can you tell me more about how to work with you? And then boom, here we go. Now we start moving into this sales conversation skill building part of it, because now we're in a DM. But it's really not that hard, because your content has already sold for you, because they've already reached out and said, I'm interested, which is great. So that is a warm lead in the marketing world. So that is amazing. So congratulations on the feedback. Love that we're feeling good about content and consistency. This is key to everything. I'm very, very excited for that. I'm seeing the dancing. We're dancing together. I'm imagining us doing our little dance together, and I cannot wait to keep going. So I'll get back to you in Telegram too about Wednesday. I just saw right before we hopped on here. So we'll figure out a time for Wednesday, and then we can have an action plan for the weeks and leading up into January for you.
Perfect. Yeah. And I would say, just so you know, the one comment was, on Friday, I had a lady reach out to me. She's been coming to my retreats. She's probably been to 3 of my retreats. She's just gone back to the world of Walmart after a leave of absence. Terrified, just so you ladies know, terrified that she's going to go back into her old habits and end up back where she was. And so I had a raffle where I was an influencer for Danielle Laporte's planners, where I also gifted them a 30-minute intensive coaching, which we did on Friday, and she immediately signed up for a 4-month one-on-one client.
Wait, is that the second one? Is that the second one?
That's
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, wait a second, Caroline,
no,
tell me about the other one. Hold
Yeah,
on,
so
this
I'm
is
putting her
late. This
contract
is
together
late
today.
finding out.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
So good.
So you just never know, but they're there.
Yeah, and getting and now is the time to start doing, like, for anybody out here to start doing the lead gen events, to start doing the 30-minute free consult calls, all of that. Any way that we can get people into our world to have conversations and nurture them and get them ready to sign up for offers. Like, this is the best time to start doing that because it helps us build momentum into January. And a lot of people are going to start buying in January, you guys. Like, a lot. January and February are fucking huge.
I think the one other thing I'd love to learn from you, Katie, and I don't know if this is part of your program or whatever, but it's just like I still feel, and you're probably like quick with social media now, I still find it takes me time to create. I don't want to lose that consistency if clients start reaching out. Like, right, how do you find that balance where you're still able to keep that consistency and things like that before you're ready to hire a VA or where you're kind of doing it all on your own? So I'd love your thoughts around as business picks up, as you're doing more sales calls, how do you keep that consistency without then losing that traction, burning out, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, okay, definitely. I will address that. We'll talk about it in our one-to-one, but I'll also address a training on that. I'm thinking about even having a guest speaker come in January because somebody just came to mind immediately when you're doing that. Because for me, you ask that question and I'm like, I just do the content. Like, my brain, I've never had, like, it's never been a problem with that, but I know it's a challenge for a lot of my clients. So I'm like, oh, well, try this system or try this or do it that way. Batch creation is going to be key. That's why Content Fairy is so fucking good. So having Content Fairy on your side to plan out all your content for the week ahead, which is challenging for some of us ADHD girlies and all of that. But, like, I don't think that's you, Caroline. I think you're a planner and you're good at getting shit done. So the batch creation is going to be probably your best friend.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But also I have somebody who can come in with, like, the Canva, like making Canva easier and all of that. My Claire, my beautiful client, who is just like a genius at Canva and making, just creating things really simple. Like, she's a marketing coach too. So I might have her come in and do like some guest speaking in January.
Love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Another one for this week: create a free Telegram group, broadcast out, and 8 women are in, and 2 women have reached out and say, hey, this is fucking amazing. Promoted my, congratulations. I promoted my embodying a free workshop. Nobody signed up, but I got a new coach. And that's how this shit works. It's fucking wild, right? And so you never know. That's why we just keep doing the things. We literally just keep doing the things because they're working. You just don't know how it's going to work, but it's working. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in today because we've already had, I would rather connect and have these anchoring in moments than just sit here and teach you shit anyway. So I'm happy that we did this in the beginning and connect and really anchor it in. But now let's take like the next 30 to 45 minutes and let's do some reflection for embodiment of some of these things that we've realized over the last week and the goals that we have. So I know a lot of you, your goals are like, you know, to have your first 6-figure year or to start tripling your income. Maybe you had 150 year or $200,000 year this year. You're ready for 300, 400,000, whatever it is. Like, so no matter where you're at, each of you are clear on what your goals are and what the next big vision is for yourself. And so now we need to start looking at who do you actually need to be to make that happen? And who do you want to actually work with to make that happen? So we're going to start with the work with piece first. And so I want to ask you all a question and you can type it in the chat. We're going to keep the mics off for a little bit now just so I can get through the meat and potatoes of this, and then I'll bring it back like an anchoring in moment at the end. But you can type in the chat and share because I'm going to ask you to share. So I want you to think about, like, close your eyes down if you're able to. If you're watching the replay and you're walking or driving, do not close your eyes. Close your eyes down. Think about December 15th, December 16th, 2025. You're celebrating doubling your sales, hitting the huge income goal. It's been the best fucking year ever. Like, literally better than you could have even imagined. Shit felt simple. It felt easy. You loved the conversations you were having in your containers. Your clients were like so appreciative of your work. Like, it was everything that you could want. It was everything that you could want. And now I want you to imagine that on this day, you're about to wrap calls for the year and you're on your last one-to-one. And it's literally like your favorite client. Like, we're not supposed to have favorite clients. Like, all of you are my favorite clients, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's your favorite kind of session. It's your favorite thing. The energy is high. You love working with this woman. It's everything. Who is this person on a personal level. Like what is the psychology of this person? Why do you love working with her so much? Or him or them? And just take a second and really reflect on that. What is it about this woman? How did she say yes to your offers? Where did she come from? What are the questions that she asked? How does she lead herself in the containers? How does she, when you coach her, what does she do? Now letting yourself sit here longer if you need to, but if you already know, if you already have all the answers to these questions, just gently coming back into the space. And I want you to come into the chat and tell me what it is about this woman. Who is this dream client archetype that you love working with? Is she coachable? Is she fucking driven? Is she hungry? Is she funny? Do you guys get to joke around on calls? Like, can she switch back and forth quickly between humor and the deep work like you like to do in your coaching? Like, what is it about this woman? When she invested, was she like a hell yes right away, or did she kind of tiptoe into your offer a little bit and test up the small thing and then jump right into the big thing? Like, what is it about this woman? How does she move? How does she behave? What is her personality? And as you guys are typing that in, I'm going to take a second and I just want to kind of tell you a story about something that I had a huge epiphany around this weekend. Huge epiphany, like rattled me to my core. You know those moments where you're like, oh, duh, like, like, oh my God, like this is wild. So I was thinking about how, about maybe a year and a half ago, I had an experience where a woman came into my world and she made more money than me and she hired me and I was so excited to work with her, right? Because she was also like a peer, like a seasoned therapist, like somatic practitioner, like all the things. And I was like, wow, like she's older than me, she has more experience than me, she makes more money than me, but she hired me, right? And I brought her into my world and it felt so amazing. We had such a great relationship together. And then more people like that started hiring me, right? But then this other person came into my world after that. It was like on a roll. It was like dream client after dream client, right? Then this other person came in and it was similar to this dream client that I had been attracting, but something was different, right? And I noticed that her content was really judgmental. And I started lowering my boundaries with her. And then I started to see that she was talking shit about me in her content. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is wild, right? But because I had kind of pedestaled her, right? Because it activated an old wound with my sister. My sister was the favorite child. I was the one who wasn't. She reminded me a lot like my sister because it was like these subtle jabs. And I started to go into this old role because that's what we do when we're in these relationships with people. We assume a different role. We'll go back to childhood behavior. We'll go back into these patterns of trying to gain acceptance and validation. And it might not be as explicit or as big as maybe we used to do, like when it was really toxic behavior, but it's these subtle things, these subtle compromises, these subtle moments of self-abandonment, this sudden questioning of yourself, this self-doubt that's creeping in. And so I started to see how I was like making, like in my marketing, like trying to speak to more people like her to like get their approval, to like make them like see me and understand why I did what I did and like prove myself and explain and justify all this stuff. And now you might not know it when you read my content, but I know that that was happening. I realized it, right? And because of that, I started to change my pricing and I started to do these other things. And all of a sudden, before I knew it, I was sitting there going like, the fuck am I doing? Like I'm speaking to the person I don't want to work with in my content. I'm literally speaking directly to the people that I don't want to work with in my content. And now I'm making changes to offers and my messaging and things like that I would have never done before. And you know what happened? It wasn't that I wasn't still attracting dream clients, because that's not, you're not fucking everything up when you make these little things, but it felt gross inside of me. It just didn't feel good. And I was getting resentful at my pricing and the things I was delivering because I wasn't charging enough. Because I was trying to be the accessible coach, right? So if you saw my post today, it's kind of to me, my old self, but I was speaking to the people in my world who I know have gone through the same experience, because maybe this year you've had some client wounds. Maybe in the past you've had some client conflicts. Maybe you had a friend that talked shit about your business. Maybe your spouse wasn't super supportive. Maybe you had somebody who made you feel like your work is dumb and not that important. I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that we're all human and we have these experiences and they activate old wounds, and it'll show up unconsciously in our content. And we'll also create these protection mechanisms in our body that hold us back from actually receiving more clients, more money, more visibility, expressing ourselves. You know, we talk about this all the time. But I want you to think about this for yourself, because you just told me who your dream client is, and I'm going to come back to that in a second. But I want you to think about, who are they not? I'm so done with people pleasing and lowering. Yes, so fucking done. So if that is something you're not available for in 2025, you are unwilling to self-abandon in 2025, and you want to be so fucking crystal clear on exactly who you're not talking to, I need to know, who are you not fucking talking to? And this is a non-judgment zone. You can put it how it is, okay? I am not talking to people in fucking victim mentality. The big reason I stopped talking about trauma is because I was attracting a bunch of people who needed therapy and not fucking coaching. And they were stuck in patterns of just victimhood and excuse factory. And I can't fucking do that. I can't. I need to work with people who are driven and hungry and literally relentless in making their vision come true, because that's what it takes. And I honestly, I don't want to spend time getting you to that place, because if you're not there already, we're not a match. And this is the thing that we have to be so fucking just unapologetic about, because coaching it's not meant to be accessible to everyone. You're not meant to be everybody's coach. You need to be really fucking clear on who you're meant to work with and who you can serve the best. Because I know for me, I'm not going to be able to help somebody get the results that they're hiring me for if they're still stuck in these old patterns. They need to hire a mindset coach or somebody who works with the people who are still stuck in those patterns. So I don't even bring up inconsistency in my content anymore. I haven't used the word inconsistent in 6 months. I just don't. I try not to use the word burnout. I try not to use the word burnout because I can help you if you're in burnout. Don't get me wrong. I can help literally anybody do anything. I've helped thousands of people heal in thousands of different ways, but I don't want to help you out of burnout. I don't want to. And I doesn't mean I think it's bad if you're in it. It just means I don't want to help you with that. My zone of genius is better allocated in a different way with a different type of client. Let me see what y'all are saying. The ones who say they want it but never do anything about it, right? And that's frustrating. You don't want to get angry at people who are paying you for not doing the work that you're giving them. Like, and listen, part of our job as coaches is to motivate people, yes, but like, maybe we should just speak to the people who are already motivated if we don't want to do that, right? People in victimhood with no money who actually don't want to do the work because they fucking love moaning. And they're attached to that identity. They're attached to that identity. And you know how long it's going to take to get them out of that identity if they don't even recognize it's a problem? Fucking a year. Do you have time to work with that client for a year? No. That's so interesting. You stopped talking about trauma. I reference it, but I don't make it a core focus anymore. Last year's client, but it's so funny because people still hire me because I'm trauma trained, because I still talk about the fact that I'm trauma trained. And people like me because I'm trauma trained, but it's the people who don't identify as traumatized anymore. It's the people who have rose above it, but recognize some of those patterns still show up. So they want somebody who can meet them there. That's last year's client and victim mentality of no money and unhealed. Exactly. I won't work. Those are scattered. Want me to have the magic wand. I'm not your savior, bro. Like, I can't do it. I can't tell you how many people have thrown money at me and expected me to just save them and like fix their business. Like, oh no, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I can't do that for you. And like, thank God for these safe spaces where us as coaches can vent about the client experience, because then you see clients go online and talk shit about the coaches. And here's the other thing. I used to talk a lot about what's wrong with the coaching industry. And you know what I attracted a bunch of people who want to bitch about what's wrong with coaching industry, and a bunch of people who are never happy with anything and want to just find the problem and bitch about the problem. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 I don't want to work with you, because if every coach has been the problem, what's actually the problem? Common denominator, right? Like, I wonder what it could be, right? Like, come on. I won't. What else did you say? Anything grumpy, judgmental, angered easily? Yeah. I want people who are pissed off and burning out, but ready as fuck to do the work. I agree. Even with teaching preferred master students in undergrad, I don't want to convince or have to motivate. Point at me, three finger. Yeah, exactly. That's why coaching attracted me, because I was so tired. Yes, exactly. Same thing. That's why I left therapy, because I get to pick my clients. I get to pick my clients. And so that's really important. So now that we know who we don't want to talk to, we need to be very, and we're going to talk about elevating messaging and identity and all that in just a moment. But I want you to really think about this, because sometimes we'll go into a place where the shit that we're pissed off about, we start making content about. And I want you to be very careful about making reactionary content, because making reactionary content isn't going to be helpful in getting you the clients that you want to have. Okay? It is not going to be helpful. So let's go and look on the other side of this, at who your ideal clients are. Janet said she's, let me make sure I'm starting at the right place. Okay, yeah. Janet said she's coachable, funny, creative, and eager to learn. She knows who she is, and she's ready to face fears, trust in herself. She's ready to open to wider perspectives. I love that. She's positive, driven leader with hell yes to coaching. I love that you added that immediately. She's already a hell yes to coaching. She already wants to be coached. She leans in containers with compassion, or with passion, humor, and can-do attitude. She does the work. She isn't afraid to try the things, and knows that she has met her support there. She does the work. She's going to get the result. She's clear. And you guys have fun together. I love that. So good, Caroline. Rosara, she's self-led, knows how to ask questions. That's really important. She tiptoes into the offer. She buys small. Okay, so this is really important about your product suite. We need to be really aware of that in our product suite. What she's already done. She's funny, can move from humor to deep work. She can get the strategy and bring up resistance that we work through, the inner work. She knows it's necessary. She loves it because she makes a difference. A new strategy doesn't scare her. That's important. That's really important. She tries it, she applies it, she leans fast to see if it lands for her. She's driven. Love it. So good. She's ready to do the work. All of you so far, ready to do the work. Ready to do the work, right? She listens and is easy to be around. She's funny and grounded. She shares openly and asks questions about what she can do to help herself with this and that. She pays in full. Love it. So how often are you talking about pay in full options? Make sure we keep putting pay in full options over the payment plan options, even though we want recurring revenue. If we can take a pay in full, thank you, no doubt. Just spread it out over the months, budget appropriately, right? She pays in full, and she takes time outside of our sessions to do research and shares her knowledge with me. Her shifts have been so apparent. She naturally refers to people. It feels fun, easy. So one of the things that was mind-blowing to me, that I had only experienced like once or twice before in coaching, again, because of messaging, was I had a client that's like signed with me like 2 years ago, and she was a one-to-one client, right? Because the people who invest in one-to-one at this really high rate, they tend to be very self-motivated self-starters, okay? They're already ready to go. And she used to come to every Telegram day and every coaching call with an agenda. I was like, more please. Thank you, more please. So not that I have to like scramble. I have no problem coaching and getting the questions, because sometimes she would come with agenda. I'd be like, your agenda sounds like you're procrastinating. So let's go deeper into this right now. And like, we're going to throw your agenda out to the side for a moment and actually talk about something deeper that I'm seeing here. But it gives us an opportunity to stay organized and stay on track. Right? And so I like people who do that. I like people who come in and they're like, okay, this is what I want to talk about today. Or when I ask them what they want to talk about today, they've thought about it before the call. How many of you get clients who come on calls and they stare at you and they don't know what to talk about? So when you think about the personality of the woman who's organized, thinking about it before she gets on a call, we just speak to them directly into our content. You know what I mean? It's like you're already organized. You're already thinking about the next plan, the next thing you have to do. But what you're actually looking for is the support to make sure that XYZ, whatever you help them do, right? And then we just kind of get into it. So making sure that we're speaking to this. Agenda means she's ready to do some work and she realizes she wants the most for her money. Exactly. But here's the other piece of that. I don't want people who are extractive, who are trying to get every cent out of me for their time together, because that feels, there's urgency there, and that feels really uncomfortable for me. That's why a lot of the time there was a period there was attracting a lot of people like that, and I was like, this is a me problem, not a them problem. So I had to figure out what had to change in my messaging, and it was literally just, okay, I needed to talk about the fact, don't invest in me if you're going to be investing from a place where you're going to get dysregulated. And I just said that over and over, and I would literally tell people when they would message me, I'd be like, you shouldn't hire me for one-to-one, you should just take a course. I don't want your money. Literally don't want your money. And that's an internal shift that has to happen for us. It's not even so much of a messaging thing. It's like, we need to not be urgent. We need to not be in a place of scarcity. We need to not be in a place of desperation. Because if we're in those places, I'm not saying that you're going to attract those people just because you're having those feelings or sensations. But what I am saying is that if we stay there long enough, it's going to come through in our content, and we're going to say yes to people and ignore red flags. How many of you have ignored a red flag with a client before? I had to refund $27,000. Like, I couldn't. I literally couldn't. She paid me in full for 6 months of one-to-one coaching or something. Within 1 month, I was like, no. And I don't only work with certified coaches anymore, like right now, but I changed a lot in my messaging to only work with really skilled, talented, certified coaches or therapists who had tons of experience doing what they did. It wasn't a non-negotiable that they had to be certified, because I don't believe you have to be certified to be a good coach. But I didn't want to work with people who, because they went to 3 therapy sessions, now thought they could be a coach and coach other people. That didn't feel good for me either. So like really thinking about taking, this is why the first thing we did in the pre-work was looking at the clients you've had. Who did you love working with? Who did you not love working with? Let's get super fucking exclusive. And I know that triggers some people, but like, we're not here to be inclusive. This isn't an inclusive thing. We can be inclusive in our message and how we talk about it's important to practice these values that we have, but we're not here to help every single fucking person, because we're going to help no one. You're literally going to help no one, because you know what's going to happen? You're going to be burnt out, resentful, frustrated, annoyed. Ever dreaded getting on a call with a client before? Do you want to feel like that? Because that's an energy fucking vampire right there. Not them, us. It's our problem. It's not a them problem. They didn't do anything wrong. It's us. But if you feel like that before you get on a call, you have a problem inside of you that you need to solve. And that might look like boundaries. That might look like your messaging. That might look like standards, whatever. So now here, just thinking about this, what's coming up for you guys. Here we go. My first client, my boundary biz, I spoke with the victim mentality, and that's exactly who I worked with, someone who actually needed therapy, not coaching. I took a client because I kind of knew her needed the money, and we've all done it. There's no shame here. We've all taken a client because it was very attractive to have that payment. It was or we had a bill to fucking pay. Like, it's fine. There is nothing wrong here, but if we're going to scale, we need to close these energetic drains. Like, where are they? Where are we draining ourselves? And really take our power back in this situation and say we get to choose, and we're still going to be paid for and provided for by Source, who is our actual provider, not our clients, right? Because Source is the one that provides for us. God is the one that provides for us, not our clients. And when we really stand in our power about who we're meant to work with, who we want to work with, who are the people we can actually help the most and get the greatest impact for, then all of a sudden, boom. And hey, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Nikki just said, I wish I would have refunded them. Next time, you refund them. Next time, you refund them. Or you tell them, hey, I don't think we should continue. That's it. Or the next time you're on a sales call and your body's going, this feels like it's not the greatest. Are you going to push to get the payment, or are you going to end the call and send them a free resource? Yeah, exactly. And I remember that conversation. That was a big moment for you, Janet. That was huge. And we've all, whether we've refunded or continued the container to the end and fucking wanted to shoot ourselves in the foot, like we all have been there. We all have been there. And so now that we know who we want to work with and who we don't want to work with, I want to take a question and I want to turn it around on you. Okay. Who here is ready for some real bold, honest self-reflection? I knew you would be. I knew you would be. So who, the woman that you said that you want to work with, are you being her and acting like her? Okay, good. You know what's so funny? And you know how I can tell that like this is different from when I've done like this 2 years ago? Everyone was like, no. All of you said yes. All of you said yes. And I had no expectation. I didn't know what you're going to say. But I've been in rooms where they all said no. And I think about my business 2 years ago, and I think about my business today, and it makes sense that you all said yes. It makes sense that you all said yes. So now here's the follow-up question for the women who want to go even further. For the women who want to push that edge even more. How can you be even more? How can you be even more of your ideal client? How can you be even more of this woman who is all of the things that you outlined before? Taking the risk, making the investments, ready to do the work, showing up organized, knowing no, if everybody starts calling me content fairy, I'm gonna be like the happiest person in the world. I'm literally gonna have a photo shoot where I dress up like a slutty little fairy, and I cannot wait for it. I'm like literally so excited for that in 2025. But anyway, like how can we be more of this woman? I know for me, like I'll give an example because this is radical honesty. Like, listen, we already know that we're high performing women. We already know that we're ambitious. We already know we do the work. Like we've done so much fucking work on ourselves. We could sit here and say, well, that's good enough. I'm not I'm not that person because I want to have extraordinary outcomes in my life. I want to have an extraordinary life. I want to have extraordinary money. I want to have extraordinary relationships. I want to have extraordinary everything. Okay? Like beyond what is normal. Like 10 times out of the realm of what's beyond for normal. And so I know that takes more work. Not that I'm broken or need to be fixed. That's not the way I'm approaching it. I'm approaching it from a place of I could be even better. I'm excited to find out how much better I can get. So for me, it looks like one of the things I've been practicing over the last year is staying committed to the mentors and the memberships that I'm in. And this isn't like stay and do the shit with me. This is more about me. I was hopping around a lot before. I want solid anchors. I want solid anchors in my life of people who I let get to know me because I have an anxious, disorganized attachment style, which means I'm anxious and avoidant at the same time. So I like to let people in and then push them away. And so for me, it wasn't just about the mentors getting to know me, helping me build my business. Yes, that's it. But another edge for me was letting people in, like letting them really see me. And me and my mentor this year, we went through some shit, y'all. Like not in like conflict, but just like with me, like letting her in and also having different beliefs about things and being able to have those conversations. First mentor I've ever been able to have hard conversations with and to go through the rupture and repair process with her. And because of that, I don't think I could ever work with somebody else, to be honest with you. Like, I just want to be in her world because she knows me so well and my business so well. I can send you a quiz, Nikki. I'll send you a quiz after this. It's really easy too if you just do a Google search. So, like for me, continue with the mentorship there. Another piece is letting myself be supported. I love you. Please come to Florida or I will come to the UK. I will get my passport and I will come to the UK and just a hug. Like we can just do a hug and then we could even just call it that. Like I'm fine. So I love you. I love you all so much. And so for me, it was like the relationship piece. And now it's like for 2025, it's literally about letting myself heal the investment wounds that I have that were scaring me from investing in other things and pushing my edges there, even with VAs and like OBMs, because I've had some experiences. And so where it was like, I'll just do it myself. But like, that's my hyper independence. And so looking at some of those things, doing more inner work around my visibility wounds and things like that. So there's certain edges that I need to push. I'm not just going to settle for where I am. So I want you to think about, yes, oh my God, so one of the things I'm gonna do for Rich and Shameless, because I was talking about it for the end of the year this year, but I literally couldn't with the tornado that hit my life at the end of summer. But I wanted to do in-person events. We're gonna start doing in-person events inside of the Rich and Shameless membership. And most likely it's gonna be a very low cost if you guys can just pay for your own travel. You know what I mean? It'll be like a low cost where we come and do like mastermind weekends together. So I'm very excited about that. And that's another edge for me, is getting more in person, coming back to in person, because I stopped doing that for a year because I was like, oh, it's so much work to do an in person event. I've done the retreats and all that shit. And I was like, oh, I'm not gonna, it's like a lot and I don't want to do that. But like, that's an edge for me. I'm scared of the responsibility. And so I have to face that fear of more responsibility, because if I'm going to have hundreds of thousands of clients all over the world, there's a level of responsibility I need to I need to learn how to tolerate. You know what I mean? Of feeling that. So I want you guys to I want you guys to think about, what is that for you? What is the level up for you emotionally, in your skill set, whatever? Like, is there something that you want to develop in a skill set? Is there something that you need to work on emotionally? Maybe it's both. What is the level up for you? Everyone's distracted now because they're thinking about coming to Florida. Listen, we'll do it like during summer, okay? And we'll all hang on the beach and we'll eat delicious food, and you guys can drink if you're drinkers and do your whole thing, and we'll get tan on the beach and we'll build delicious businesses together, like with fucking pina coladas in our hand. You know, there's the marketing for it.
I wrote something this morning. I've only been doing sort of the boundaries for on and off for a couple of days, but yesterday properly. Like, I didn't have my phone all day, only a little bit in the afternoon. I watched film in the morning, and I put my phone on do not disturb at 9 o'clock, and I was twitchy as fuck. I really wanted to pick it up, and I was like, no, no, no. And this morning, I just felt different. I felt like a little bit more regulated and more grounded in myself. And I wrote while I was making a cup of tea, having boundaries makes me feel like I have more control over my business.
Yes, you do.
And I was like, oh, there it is.
1000%.
Like, I've got loads of people all the time messaging me. And it was what I wanted. You know, it's like, oh my God, imagine all these people messaging me. And I'm like, let's just put some boundaries in. And like what you said the other day really resonated about going in and coming back out again and just having a life. And I've done so much more today because I've been more structured and I've done the things that I was going to do instead of replying in the moment to people. And it's just, I need to really embed those in my brain and my body now. So
That's what we're doing. We're anchoring them in. Every time you make that decision, there's a choice point every single day. And we can either make the same choice or a new choice. And every time you make that new choice, you rewire your nervous system and your brain to say, this is the choice that we're doing. And then anchor it in with the, I liked making that choice. That
yeah,
felt good. Create the dopamine. Remind yourself of the dopamine. Hardwire those
yeah.
thoughts over and over and over and over again.
I
Thoughts
think
that
that's the
fire
next
together, wire
level. The next level me. So I look at women who have more boundaries, and like you, for example, I'm like, oh my God, that's how I want to be. And then I'm like, oh no, but people will leave me if I'm not. And actually, it doesn't matter because that's not what I want. So it's just going, yeah. So just thought I'd share that.
So Nikki, let me share what happened with me this weekend, because it's having a conversation. So it's not so much about boundaries, but I was about pricing, because I'm raising prices in 2025, but similar, of like, my fear was, I'm going to raise the prices and everybody's going to leave the membership. Like, that was my fear. I knew it was an irrational fear. And the reality is, some people will leave, some people will stay. That's just the reality, right? But I was also like completely okay if everyone was like, fuck you, we're never coming back again. I was like, fine, well, I'll just get new people in the membership, or I'll just get rid of the membership. Like, I'm fine with either of these things.
Mhm.
Like, or maybe I just need to rebrand it, whatever. And so I sent out an email over the weekend telling all the founding members that the price was going up, and that I was gonna end their contracts in January, and then the price would go up in January. They could choose to stay or they could choose to go, right? And I gave them a bonus to stay if they chose to stay now instead of in January. And the first email I got back was somebody saying, sorry, I won't be staying. Literally the first email I got back, like within the first 2 minutes of sending it out. And I was like, damn, that was a quick decision. You made the decision really fucking quick, you know? But also I was like, oh, I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine. And then, like, within the next few hours, 3 people committed to another 6 months together. And so, like, the same thing with the boundaries, right? Like there's been many times in my business where I told people I'm no longer doing Telegram 5 days a week. It's only 3 days a week now. And I was worried that private clients would want to cancel. I mean, it's not really in their contract that they can do that, but I gave them the opportunity to since I changed the contract. So I was like, well, we're going to change the services agreement here. And so I'm only going to be doing 3 times a week. Nobody left. People actually thanked me for showing them that they could have boundaries in their business too.
And that's all it takes sometimes, isn't it? Like I've had people say to me, "Oh my God, you've shown me, you taught me how to do this." And I'm like, "Did I?" And you don't realize just by doing the things yourself, but like it is that,
Yeah.
exactly that. So thank you for doing that.
And thank you for sharing that with us too. And it really is about, lead by example. It's about the modeling. Like even if we look at children learn from modeling, not from hearing.
Yeah.
They model your behavior. They literally learn how to walk from modeling you. You can't really teach a baby one foot in front of the other. They watch you and then they try to do it, and then you guide them as much as you can, but they learn from modeling. And this is how come when we look at our teenagers and we're like, where the fuck did you learn how to act like that? It's like, oh, I'm a sassy bitch. I got it. That's me.
My kids are so inappropriate.
Sometimes I'm like low key proud of her though. I'm like, oh, you're gonna be so great when you get like you're such a great personality.
Yeah.
But that's it. We just learned this is why this is all about embodiment today, because we're gonna attract the people who see in us what they either wish to have or they see in themselves.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, so I think policy or guarantee. Okay, message me after this, Janet, and I'll tell you how to handle it. Okay, so yeah, we don't do guarantees. I would never do a guarantee ever in my entire life would I do a guarantee. Okay, so now we're looking at who are we going to be, right? Who are we going to be? So let's talk about now, how does this come through in our behaviors and habits? So when we're thinking about, or actually, I'm sorry, let's move into the body awareness piece. I got all distracted. I went off on a tangent here. I lost my organization. So now I want you to sit and I want you to think about when you imagine yourself having these clients in your world, when you imagine yourself having the boundaries, having the receiving the money at this level, having the visibility that you desire to have in 2025, where do you notice any type of resistance or fear coming up? Every throat, expressing ourselves, saying the things, right? So this is going to be something I want us all to really think about. Like, what are you scared? If it's in your throat, it doesn't necessarily have to be that your body necessarily represents that, but there is a stream of thought that believes if it's here, it's your throat chakra blocked and all of that. And I've done a lot of work around this, and I believe it to be true as well. But like, what are you actually scared of losing? That's really the question here. Is normally we're scared of losing something or not getting what we want. And so that resistance comes up in the body. So I'm curious, let's start with the first question. What are you scared of losing if you get what you want? What are you scared you'll have to sacrifice if you get what you want? Being humble. You have to sacrifice being humble. That's interesting. What does that mean? Like being humble in what way? Curious.
That's the first thing that came up subconsciously when you said that. Like, and this is wow. Okay, so this is something that's come up all the time, and it's like, if I'm rich, people won't like me, or people will think I'm that bitch, or people will think, but I'm getting to the point now where I know who I am, and it actually doesn't matter what other people think of me. And if those people think that, then I'm not their person, said with absolute love. But I think I've seen so many successful women who, spiritual fakery, let's put it that way, people who've pretended to be a beautiful, kind person, and then in the background they've slagged people off, or they've hurt people, or they've just took people's money and they haven't done what they've said they've done, which is something that I've never done and never would do. So it's like, where's that come from?
So it doesn't sound like you're so much scared of losing something. You're scared of being perceived a certain way.
There we go. Yeah.
You're scared of people perceiving you as a fraud or as a fake or a manipulator, or like you don't care about other people.
Yeah.
Is
So
any of that true?
no, but this came up the other day. I've just invited someone who's helped me more than anyone in like the franchise world. It's actually one of my best friends to become a business partner in the Healing Academy because she was a sales coach for Coca-Cola for 20 years, and she does all the like the techie stuff and the stuff that I don't do. So together we're like yin and yang, we work perfectly. And we're really excited about it. We haven't announced it anyway yet, but she told somebody and they said, well, that's a clever move on Nikki's part. And I was like, what does that mean? Like I was manipulating it to come into the business, and it sort of made me go, is that how I'm perceived as that? But then I thought, ah, fuck yeah, don't care.
And that's the thing, and that's really what we're getting at here is like we can't protect ourselves against these fears. We
No.
might lose stuff. We might be judged. We might be perceived in a way that we don't want to perceive. But we need to become so solid in our shamelessness. Like we know exactly who we are. And that's why this is the shameless experience. Like the Rich and Shameless membership is because shame will dictate everything that we do until we heal it, until we dissolve it. Because shame says, I saw it coming up, losing myself, not feeling worthy enough, being perceived in a certain way, needing the validation. Shame says, I need these things so that people know that I'm good enough.
Yeah.
When we're out overwhelming shame or unconscious shame, then all of a sudden we can say, well, I already know I'm good enough, so you can think about me any fucking way you want, but it doesn't really matter because I know that's not true about me. Or maybe it is true about me, and that's fine too. Like if someone was like, God, Katie, okay, all Katie cares about is the money. It's like, well, it's not all I care about, but like, yeah, I want to make a lot of fucking money. Like I literally started a business to make a lot of fucking money. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to be in a place where I'm repeating poverty cycles. Like there's a big why behind that. But yeah, fine. Say I'm all about the money. That's fine. Go ahead. I really don't care. And you know what? I heard clever and I was like, what a compliment. Like that was clever, Nikki. Good job on like figuring out how to make your business grow. Like, well done. How to make it a win-win for everybody. Like, well done. Hi, baby. Hello. I love it when the kids show up. Hello. I gotta watch my mouth though. Okay. So like this is like, what if you took it as a compliment? Like, what if you played with taking it as a compliment and you were like, oh, clever. I am clever. I am really good at figuring out how to grow my business.
Yeah, it's the perceived thing. It's that word just shifted everything. Then it's like, and then it's like, well, do I care what people think? And it's like, not really anymore. Like it
Yeah.
did stab a little bit because I thought she was a friend. So for her to think that of me, but I think she just said what came out of her mouth. She didn't think it was like I don't know. That's what my friend was trying to say. She goes, I don't think she meant it. And I was like, yeah, she did, but it's okay.
And it's like, you know what? And maybe it's just none of my business what she meant. And maybe it's just none of my business what she meant at all. Because who knows? What she actually meant, we will never actually know because she might
Yeah.
never tell us. So who even cares? Why let your energy go towards it?
Exactly. Does it matter? Can I change it now? Let's go.
No. Bless and release. Bless and release. And so this is one of the things that I want you guys to think about because this is more so coming from the messages that we received in childhood or the shame that we're carrying about mistakes that we've made. And so I want you to look at this over a period of time. We can't get too deep into it today because there's a lot to go into this. But one of the things I want you all to think about is where am I carrying shame over any failures, decisions, conflicts, or rejection, or like internet hate that I got this year or maybe previous years, and I notice that it's coming up. And then how can I forgive myself or that other person? And I'm going to include the Ho'oponopono meditation in your guys' handout for today. So I want you to start looking at that for yourself. You can even go into the Shadows of Six training inside of the portal. Like I literally did an entire shadow work program, which will blow the roof off of all of this for you. But if you already know what they are, like maybe for me, I had some, you guys, I completely fucked myself on taxes for like 2 years in a row. And so I owe the IRS money. And so that I carried a lot of shame around that, but I had no idea what I was doing for 2 years. Like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And so I had a lot of shame around that. Some people have shame around debt. Some people have shame around investments that they made. Some people have shame around other things. my big thing for me was that the tax thing. I was like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person and I don't even deserve to help people. Like, who am I? And like, so much shit came up around that. And so that was something I had to forgive myself for. I had to forgive that past version of me who made those mistakes. And then as soon as I started doing that, I started hearing other stories of people who fucked up taxes in their business. And I was like, oh, I'm not alone. Like, no one ever taught me these things. And I just started making more money than I had ever seen in my entire life within 12 months of starting my business. And I didn't know what to do with it or how to manage it. And like, that's okay. That is okay. And as soon as I forgave myself for that, which was like a huge thing at the beginning of this year, as soon as I forgave myself for that, and I started taking the actions to repair it and do the things that needed to be done and being accountable to correcting the mistakes that I made and healing the shame around it, all of a sudden the challenges that I was having with receiving money started to flow away because it wasn't even a problem anymore because I healed the shame. And the shame was the thing that was making me feel blocked, restricted, burned out, annoyed, resentful, scared, whatever, right? And so I want you all to think about this. Is like, where is the shame? So is there one thing from this year or the previous year that you feel like you're holding on to, that you feel like you fucked up or you made a mistake? Maybe it was a failed launch, maybe it was a client conflict, maybe it was tax, maybe you had tax shit too. Maybe you made an investment that you regretted. Maybe you spent more money than you thought you should have. Maybe you collected some debt and you're holding on to that. Like, where is it? Let's forgive ourselves, okay? Because you did the best you could. And ultimately, that experience is the character development in your fucking story that is going to bring you out as the hero in the end. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense to everyone what I just said? This is the development. This is the do it for the storyline. Like, you made the mistakes and you went through the experience so that you could become the woman who can then help somebody else from not making that mistake again and can be stronger in the face of adversity and love herself even more deeply. I invested in some things on my credit card and it brought so much shame every time I showed up to that container and every time the bill came due. Listen, the debt thing is so big. I think we'll do debt. Well, I think we'll do some money work around debt and rich and shameless probably in February.
Yeah.
January, we're going to do messaging probably and like messaging makeover again and like get clear on like who we're talking to, especially after doing this work. I think we'll do money work in February around debt because I know that's a fucking big one for everybody. I never had the thing about debt, but the tax thing showed me how that feels for people because I was like, oh my God, I am the worst person in the history of the universe. And then something on credit card. So, okay, that invested in a guy to build some tech for me before we started work. I changed my mind and he wouldn't refund. I lost my money and he built a load of shit. And that's okay. And that's okay. You're allowed to change your mind, even if there's repercussions. Even if there are repercussions. Also, I still have debt. That's okay. I got debt too. Debt's a tool. Debt is a tool. But we carry so much shame around from society, especially as women. Oh, you spent too much money on lattes and purses and you're terrible and you don't know how to manage money and you're the worst. And like, look at all this debt you have. And oh my God, but some other guy with like $1 million in debt from some fucking business he started has no guilt and no shame. And is like, oh no, like I just paid it off over time. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? So like, we'll do work around this because I know it's something that comes up for people, but it starts today by forgiving yourself. Starts today by forgiving yourself. You can write a letter of forgiveness. You can also use this Ho'oponopono meditation for like a week straight, and that'll be really good for you to like release it somatically, paying attention to your body after, during the before, during, and after the meditation, to pay attention to what's coming up and allowing yourself to release. There's tons of somatic exercises in the portal to go find that might be the best fit for you. I was trying to hide it from my husband. Oh, that's another one. I've had this with clients too. See, I'm single, so like, God forbid. But I even know, like, in a relationship, I'm like, oh God, if some dude like was like, let's get married, I'd be like, do we have to talk about both of our financial situations? No, and I have to tell you about the mistakes I made with the IRS, and like, I'm not really ready to tell you that. You know what I mean? So I could definitely see how that could come up. So then you came clean, so that's not carrying it anymore, and it was such a release. So the same thing with yourself, of like coming clean with yourself and forgiving yourself, going to be a huge release too. So noticing where this may come up around money, around clients, around investments, around launches too. Launches is another one for people. Oh my God, I did the launch and no one signed up, or one person signed up, or whatever. Yeah, at some point we just completely be desensitized to it. It's like, whatever. But
So
I
what?
remember, Nikki was like, whatever. I remember the first one I did where no one signed up though. It was a mastermind too. And I was like, oh my God, no one is going to ever want to hire me
Yeah.
again. No one even cared. No one was even paying attention. I thought the whole world knew, and there was a big old spotlight on me. And now I was the worst business coach in history. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing people talk about how their launches failed, even when they're making $1 million and they had one person sign up. And it's like, this is just part of the process. It's a lot of
Yeah.
trial and error. But at some point, you're like, cool, whatever, moving on. Moving on. All right. So, looking at this, you'll have the meditation. And now I want us to like really, really, really think about when we're celebrating this at the end of the year, when you saw what you were celebrating, and there's some other questions in the handout that you're going to get, but I'm going to bring this to a close so we can get into the cool practice that you're going to get to do after this. But when you see yourself at the end of the year, celebrating what you saw before, working with these dream clients, and really being in your most rich and shameless identity, making the money that you know you deserve to be making, living the lifestyle that you want, a business that is supporting you, all of it. When you think about the habits and the behaviors that it takes to get to that place, how does this woman show up for herself and her business daily? Think about that for a second. With clear intention and big fuck off list. Love that. Like for some of us, it might be like, I follow the checklist of my exact plan because I'm somebody who hasn't been doing that before. Or for some of us, it might be like showing up daily on Instagram because I haven't been doing that. Making sure that I have 3 hours in the morning to put for myself and the kids before I start work. Making sure that I log off every day at 5 o'clock. Just turning weekends where they're completely turned off from work. Making sure that when I am on, I'm fully on and I'm fully present for the work that I'm doing. Pushing the edges of my expression and my content, right? Like getting more out there. Maybe it's creating more reels and trying to get more visibility and trying to grow your Instagram account. And so daily you're doing the things that you don't want to do, like creating videos or something like that. Like that's fun for me, obviously. I could go deep in that one. And like doing those types of things. So looking at like, what does this look like? Maybe it's also a big part is like having fun and letting your creativity come through. Taking time for me in the AM, confidence and giving a shit who likes it, doesn't like it. Love that. Love it. Also honoring my energy and playing with abundance. She makes time for herself. Weekends for family, morning for biz, doing more experience with life, vacations, kid. Yes, I love this. I love this so much. Maybe it's even letting yourself be supported more, asking for help. And that doesn't necessarily mean like hiring a team member. Maybe it's like literally just asking your husband to do the dishes because you're not doing that. Or like asking a friend for support with kids or something so you and your husband can have a date night. Like, I don't know, whatever it is. Or for my single folks, like getting a babysitter so you can go do things or taking that vacation that you said that you're going to take forever. Coming to Florida and hanging out with me. Oh my God, yes, I know, I can't wait. Okay, so this is who we have to be. So when we start to think about the habits, these are the systems that we're going to create that are going to get us there. It's not just about the systems in our email and our marketing and all of that. It's our daily habits that predict who we're going to be 12 months from now. It's what we're doing today and what we do continuously daily that will create who we are and what we have and the people that we're working with 12 months from now. Right? Because if I just am like, oh, okay, like, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing and then expect to be a completely different person with different results 12 months from now, that's not how this works. That's not how this works at all. I have to do things to get out of my comfort zone and start to incorporate different habits, different beliefs, and a new level of embodiment in myself. And does that happen overnight, you guys? Absolutely fucking not. Should you try to add all of these new habits on in one day? Absolutely not. We're not going to do that because that's going to overload our nervous system and have perfectionist Paula showing up and saying, see, you suck. You couldn't do it all. And you should just give up and not do it at all. And like, we don't need her driving the fucking bus this year, okay? We don't need perfectionist Paula driving the bus. We also don't need Hustle Honey driving the bus either because she's going to burn us out. And by the third month in, we're going to be like, we went so hard. And then you're going to crash and not be able to sustain this for the 12 months of 2025. Because I guarantee you that if you guys follow this plan that you've created for yourself and that we'll work on together more on like individual spaces if you're with me there, or even just like on our group calls and stuff, like as we keep moving forward in Rich and Shameless Society, and you commit to these habits and who you're being and the embodiment of it, you're going to start seeing results by the end of January. Those results are going to compound by the end of Q1. By the end of Q2, you're going to be like, who the fuck is this woman? I'm on fire. And then by the end of the year, you're going to be like, how did I do this? How did I get this far? This is amazing. And you're going to be blowing the lid off of it. But it's when we start to expect it to happen the first 30 days. It's not going to happen the first 30 days. It's going to happen by making small decisions now, creating a plan now, starting to add in little micro habits, like maybe doing some engagement after you post or something if lead gen is your thing. Or maybe it's going to be taking the time in the morning that you haven't been fucking taking. I don't know. You know what it is for you. You know what it is for you. Small changes create big change. And here's the other piece here that I'm going to say that's going to suck a little bit. It's not the most glamorous or sexy piece of this. There's going to have to be a lot you let go of. We talked about this on day one, and I'm going to bring it back full circle. Because if you want to become a new person, you have to let go of some of the parts of who you used to be that are no longer serving you. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that or who you were or shame to carry around it. It's a bless and release experience. It's a rebirth. Thank you for serving me. I no longer am going to need you and where I'm going. Thank you for getting me here. I'll see you on the other side, right? Like now who am I going to become? And there is going to be a lot of sacrifice too, but there's also going to be a lot of gain in the sacrifice. Like I know for me, if I want to, one of my goals is to be on 5 podcasts in Q1 and speak on 2 stages. I'll come on you. Send me an invite. I'm there already. I'm trying to book them out before the end of this week. So I want to already have that done. Like I know that means I have to sacrifice some of my time that I'm so used to having. I have a lot of space in my calendar, you guys. Like between Monday and Friday being off, and then the other days being allocated to clients. Like my Mondays and my Fridays are like, I don't really do a lot on those days. Like I catch up on admin work and maybe create a little bit of content, but I know I'm probably going to have to start putting things in there like podcasts and stuff. And those things I always feel great after I do them, but right before I do it, I'm like, oh, why did I fucking agree to this? Right. And then I'm like, but that fear and that resistance comes up. And I'm like, okay, I know I have to sacrifice an hour like a week or an hour like every 2 weeks for this that I might have done towards like self-care or something. But I'm not in a season of self-care. I'm in a season of growth right now. It doesn't mean I don't still have self-care, but it doesn't need to allocate so much time to it. It is safe for me to take on more responsibility. It is safe for me to give more of the time. It is safe for me to be seen by more people and heard by more people. And in order to do that, I have to sacrifice some of the things where I feel really comfortable. And that means some of my time, some of my free space in my calendar, even like going and traveling and driving places and getting on stage and meeting new people and sacrificing my little introvert nice little cozy space that I have here where I just show up on Zoom and do my shit and all of that, but actually like letting myself open to connection. Like there's a lot of sacrifices that will happen there. So it's not like I'm like, oh, you have to sacrifice time and money and your happiness. Like that's not what I'm saying. But there are certain comforts that you have right now that aren't serving you anymore. So you're going to have to sacrifice those. I would absolutely love to, Nikki. That would make me get my passport. That would make me go get my passport.
We were talking about doing something called spiritual strategy because I do all like the woo stuff and Narissa does all that. And we were like, we're going to get people to come and speak on the stage and they're going to, yeah, come.
I'm there. I'm already there. Just put my name down. I'm gonna go get my passport this week. I need to stop fucking off and doing it. So again, sacrifice of like going to get the passport. There's some weird trauma behind the passport thing, guys, because when I was in my addiction, I had like felonies for drug use and like having drugs. So I was always scared to go get a passport because I was like, oh, they're gonna deny you, but they don't deny you. They still let you go. Mine are stupid little charges, like from when I was like 18 or 19. And so there's fear there that somehow, some way, I'm going to be the one person that's denied. And so, like, I think that's what's held me back from doing it. But I am very, very, very like, fuck that. I'm coming to the UK and I will get on that stage and I will speak and I would be more than, I would love that so much. I would love it. I would love it so, so much. Watching NCIS. Yeah, you gotta sacrifice the NCIS. I'm gonna have to sacrifice some of my shows too, man. I love my shows. I love it. Throw the shitty clients, the shitty behaviors, and the sacrifice. Yep. I'd love you to have, yes. Look at this. All you have to do is just say one thing, you guys. You just say one thing and it fucking happens, like literally. Okay. Everybody who's like, hey, come speak, please just message me after this and we'll set up a date and time because I want to get them all booked this week for Q1. Okay. So here's the fun thing we're going to do with this. Okay. I want us to create, if you did It Factor with me, you already know how to do collages. So I want you to do a creative collage of your rich and shameless woman, the rich and shameless woman that you are becoming in 2025. So if you're the one who's like, I'm going to spend more time on the beach and I'm going to be on stages and I'm going to have more money and I'm going to have more boundaries and more time with family or whatever, you're going to create a collage that really represents that. Okay. And then I want you to pick one affirmation and I want you to put it in, like, laid across the collage somewhere so you can see it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to set this as the background on our phone so that we can remember all the time what we're doing. Let me show you an example of this. Who here has done this before with the wallpaper on their phone? No? Okay, well, I can't, for some reason, it's like I can't pull up my wallpaper thing. Oh, I know how to show you. It's in my Pinterest.
I got this tattooed a few weeks ago. Just says I am in my own handwriting.
Maybe you put that on it then. Maybe that's like the reminder too. Or maybe you just throw in the I am right after that. Or you put like unfuckwithable boundaries or something. I want you guys to pick something that works really well for you. So there is an example. Oh, here's one, like an old one that I did. So like this was one I did like my second year in business. I have quite a few of these. So you see how I just put an affirmation across it and I made the collage in Pinterest. So like this one for the first rebellious mastermind. I make my mood boards in here too. Remember the first, who did first? You did the second rebellious with me, Nikki, not the first one. That was the first rebellious one. Where is it?
How'd you make them, Katie?
So you go into Pinterest, and you can go into Pinterest and you can go to collage and then you can just pick the pieces and put them in there. There's also, you can download the app Shuffle and that will let you do it too. It's part of Pinterest. So you can search all of the Pinterest database and find them. Oh my God, Janet, if you get a tattoo, you have to tell us and you need to like document the whole thing. Please. She said, please. Because I want like a vlog of Janet getting her first tattoo. That's what I wanted.
No,
I would love
I'm
that.
not.
Oh,
I can't.
It's not that bad. They're pretty awesome.
I love them.
Well, I can't. I wouldn't be able to just hone in on.
You'll never
one.
stop.
So
So then you just get a bunch, Janet. That's when you just get a bunch. After one, you'll want more. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I got covered. And then I stopped for a little bit, but I want to go get another one. I told Lily I was going to go get her name with the lily flower on it on my arm. So she's like, when are we going to go do it? I'm like, all right, I got to book it. I got to do it. Yeah, you'll never stop. They're super addictive. All right, ladies. So we're going to make our collages. Okay. And I want you to share them in the group. I wanted to tattoo it. Thank God I didn't. You could just like got like some flowers around it afterwards. You get the laser removal. Oh my God. She said, cut your finger off. I love you guys so much. So this is all going to be in the workbook. Everything I covered today will be in there, but I want you to share your board. Make it. Have fun with it. You can even put on the background of your desktop. Like I'm going to make one for my desktop when I do this. I haven't done one for 2025 yet. But I'm going to do it on the background of my desktop. I'm going to put it on my phone, like just to have this reminder, you know what I mean? And also this creative process, the act of creativity of turning thoughts and desires into actual art and visuals and all of that. It really solidifies and anchors in the feelings and the sensations and the the integration of like, this is who I am in a different way because you're doing it through a different medium, right? And so, I mean, Janet was an art therapist, right? She knows all of this. If she wanted to know the science behind it, you could definitely learn that from her. But there is power in art. So let yourself be creative. If you're like, oh, I want to have more vacations, but you're like, I don't know where I want to go on vacations. Maybe you just find like a visual that represents that. Like it doesn't have to be the actual thing. Like let your brain be abstract, let it be fun, let it be creative. Whatever visuals resonate with you, put it on that board is what I'm trying to say. Okay? It doesn't have to be so like, I'm going to put I need money, so I'm gonna put a stack of money. Like it doesn't have to be that. Like it could be maybe like a purse or a house or something that represents that for you, or even like a word. Maybe you think more in words than you do in the actual like concrete image of the thing that you're talking about. Or maybe you think more in shapes or colors or whatever. So just play around with it, have fun. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Is what I'm trying to say. Okay, have fun with it. Let it be your own. All right, ladies. Yes, share in the Facebook group, please. I want to see them all. Please, 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 please. All right, so Wednesday we have our systems trading with Alyssa. We're gonna come in and get in our logical brain, and we're gonna like have Alyssa show us how to put systems into place to get shit done. I'm gonna send out the workbook in the email, but I'll also put it here really quick so you can grab it if you want. Copy link. Paul's going to definitely be here on Wednesday because I want to make sure Alyssa has people to talk to. Okay, good. All of you have been showing up very consistently, so.
And oh my God, definitely Thursday because I can't wait.
Oh, good. Oh my God, I got my sweater comes tomorrow. I'm so excited. I'm happy you brought that up because I meant to ask that question too. Are you guys coming to the holiday sweater? We're not gonna we're gonna celebrate. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna goof off. It's gonna be super chill, you guys. Like I'm gonna be in my boxer shorts with my hoodie on the couch with like some coffee, and we're just gonna chill and vibe out. This is Thursday at noon. The ugly holiday sweater party. If you don't have an ugly holiday sweater, still come. Please don't be like, I don't have one, so I can't come. Like, no. print out, wear a jingle bell on your necklace. Okay, there, we're good.
I tried to order one, but they won't come till after Christmas.
Oh no. That sucks. I got mine on Amazon and I got it on Prime, so it's supposed to be here tomorrow. Fingers crossed.
I thought it's the same one I wanted.
Mine is so stupid. You guys are gonna be like, Katie, come on. It makes me so happy though. I can't wait. So we'll have that on Thursday. We have our holiday party on Thursday, and then we have Wednesday with systems with Alyssa. And then just kind of like thinking about future forward in January, we're going to be looking at messaging a lot and talking about like setting up your marketing system for 2025 and really just diving deep into a more specific, like what should I be posting? How do I create a marketing ecosystem that's going to consistently be bringing in clients? What is the mentality and the mindset I need to have behind that? How do I elevate my messaging to really call on this client that I want to have? And we'll go deep into some of that work. And then in February, I haven't decided yet, but I'm really going to be leaning into more money work in February and talking about this debt thing and releasing some of that. Maybe I'll somehow put a theme around it with Valentine's Day and like loving the fuck out of money or something. I don't know. Loving the fuck out of your debt, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that would be kind of fun, right? So I'll play around with it, but we'll have that and we'll continue to have our group coaching calls. We won't have one this month, but every time there's not a course, just a reminder, there isn't a course going on. We have our group coaching call on the third Thursday of the month. Question really quick. If you have to hop off, that's fine. This is more for like product development for Rich and Shameless. Would you all like to have like a Telegram day? Like, would a Telegram day be useful to you? Do you think so? Curious, like, because I'm in some memberships that do that. I prefer the calls. Like, I could add on another call, or I could add on a Telegram day. We could do like a I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, what would you like to see? How often? We would probably do a Telegram day, like maybe twice a month, like a Q&A day in Telegram. But we also have the coaching call the third Thursday. So I don't know if I'm overloading. You know what I mean? So let me know what feels good. So Nikki's like, yeah, I think I would like that. Okay, perfect. Let me like if you need to think about it too. I know I like to talk shit out too and just riff it out and be heard and do like sounding board. Telegram, okay. All right, bye, Janet. See you later. Okay, so Telegram is a vibe for some of you. Okay, cool. So I'm figuring out some of the things I want to add. I'm probably not going to take anything away. I'm probably just going to add more to the membership. Not a huge bunch. Not in the sense of more information, more connection between you all in community, and more support from me and figuring out what does that look like. Telegram or call will be great. Either or is good for you, Carolyn. Okay, cool. All right, I'll let you know. I'll be posting the changes as we get closer to that this week because my plan is to sit down tomorrow night and do it. We had emergency dental stuff. We had emergency dental stuff tomorrow for Lily. Lily broke a tooth like 2 weeks ago and didn't even tell me. She came out yesterday and was like, look. I'm like, what? I'm like, how long has it been like that? I don't know if it's broken or the other one is pushing it through, but she has like a tooth hanging on by a thread back there. I'm like, but it's like, it's weird. Anyway, enough. My 32-year-old's under the same. I'm like, what do you mean? That's what I said, Carol. I'm like, what? How? 2 weeks? We were just at the dentist and they said she had no cavity, so I have no idea. Anyway, mom life, that's what's going on over here. So I'll be letting you guys know before we finish up the opportunity to continue to enroll on Thursday. Stop eating rocks, literally. Like before we stop chewing ice and candy, like it would stop. But anyway, so we're gonna, on Thursday is the last day to enroll at the founding member price if you want to continue for the next 6 months in 2025 for those of you who have the $97 a month when you started at the beginning. So if you're going to continue it there, I want to try to let you guys know what's going to be coming in January before that. So I'm going to sit down tomorrow night, probably send out an email on Wednesday with a reminder if you're going to join. That's it, and so that you can know what's going to come. You have your, I'll message you afterward. I think you're already pretty solid, but I'll message you afterward. Okay, so for those of you who have any questions or anything as you go in to do this work, just post them in the group, post your board in the group, and make sure that you don't just like set it and forget it. This isn't a sort of set and forget situation. This is like we're putting a plan and then we have to follow through on the plan. So systems on Wednesday and our holiday party on Thursday. I love you all so much. Big hugs. And I will see you Wednesday.